Hello, I'm Pastor Dave, and this is your 3-minute recap for Monday, June 29th, 2020. Here we go. This week we heard from Exodus chapter 32, where the people of Israel were rebelling against the law of God that God was at that point giving to Moses. There were many reasons why they rebelled. Some rebelled simply because Moses was not with them, however. They were so tied to Moses' leadership that when he was gone, and they saw no indication he was returning, they thought the worst and fell away, amongst those who just rebelled. Now this seems crazy to think that these people were rebelling against the God that they knew existed. They saw the plagues in Egypt. They had the visible presence of God in the smoke and the fire. But they were blurring that distinction between God and God's messenger, to the point that they were not distinguishing between the two. So they rebelled. And Aaron gave in and gave them their golden calf. Now this return to idolatry seems to make sense, at least for them in their case, since they were already blurring the line between God and Moses to the point that they were struggling with Moses' absence. It makes sense. Because to them, they needed something they could see to identify with. They needed something that was there, not something that was intangible. In their struggle, we can actually see a message for us. Because all too often, we can fall into the same traps. We can become so focused on our leaders and human-created entities with which we define ourselves and our lives that we can easily lose sight of what is actually important. This is something that pops up in our religious lives, especially in all the denominations, where we can recall the past with our denominational leaders over all the years. We can also see it in our secular lives, where we identify with earthly rulers and cultural influences. And it's okay to seek out like-minded people, but in that we must remember what is more important. We need to be focused on God rather than identifiers or signs of God's presence. And in our lives, we need to make sure that our love of God and our faith in Christ take a greater precedence than other things in our lives, including our own opinions. So that's your recap for this week. Until next Sunday, I'm Pastor Dave, and I hope to see you in the pews.